Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. At the minutes of June 5th, June 11th, they were already circulated. Anybody prepared to move the approval of those minutes? Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Martel. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, is there anybody opposed to the motion? The motion carries. Thank you. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Seeing any hands, no lights on, so we'll move on to our action items. And the first item is a remote work policy. And Kelly, our HR manager, is going to address this. Floor is yours, Kelly.
Good evening. The purpose of this item tonight is to modify the status of our remote work policy trial from trial to permanent, and to make minor changes for improved functionality of the policy with no further changes being made to the remote work amount or structure. The trial, introduced a year ago, has been successful in making progress towards our goals, especially increasing recruitment and retention efforts, remaining competitive on the labor market as we do so, and supporting equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility needs of our staff. Following the extension of this trial back in January, feedback from staff and management on the increased flexibility continues to be very positive. Going forward, moving the policy status from trial to permanent does not prevent the policy from being reviewed, revised, or revoked at any time. And for these reasons, staff recommend that Council Committee recommend to Council approval of the remote work policy and policy as presented. Thank you.
Kelly, is anybody prepared for the motion on Councillor Martel? You want to turn your mic on there?
I move that Council Committee recommend to Council that the remote work policy trial personnel policy be approved as a permanent policy as presented.
We have a seconder, seconded by Councillor Patton. Any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Martel, do you want to speak to it? Councillor Cooper?
Yeah, just a quick question. I'm not sure who to ask this to, maybe Dan. One of the things that came out of when we were talking about this was the fact that the overcrowding we had, and it was talk about doing remote offsite staffing. So it's tell us about that. Thank you.
Dan?
Thank you. So through the chair, yeah, there's a couple of pieces to that. So as part of the budget process, there was some money set aside to go with potential offsite location. One of the other things we're looking at is, of course, we also have space out in Debert in a admin building. So we've been looking at a number of different options, and we haven't pulled the pin on anything to come back for council. So we're still in that kind of holding pattern with the remote policy, and of course, particularly this time of year with vacations. There's a lot more flexibility where people are at, but we will be coming back kind of with a follow-up once we look at the other site that we currently have that right now is not being heavily utilized, but then B, also that secondary site. So there's more to come, but we haven't done anything that is final for council's consideration at this.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any further questions of Kelly? You ready for the question? This will be on screen, and clicker should be turned on for the vote. It's open now. Right, and Councillor.
Yes.
Councillor Richardson is a yes. All right. So there's a unanimous favor of making this policy. Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Our next item is a community event grant request, Recreation Nova Scotia Conference. Our manager of recreation, Craig Burgess, will lead us through this.
Good evening, Council.
through you, the chair. In front of you, the Recreation Nova Scotia Conference is being held in October 13th to 15th, starting on the evening of the 13th. It's an annual event that's held across the province, and Fundy Region is selected in the fall to host this. They've submitted the application. They're looking for a request of $2,500 for that event. A number of recreation professionals in our Fundy region are taking the lead role in organizing this event, and the event will probably attract 150 delegates to there. It is going to be held at the Best Western Glengarry, and I have in front of you, there's a few options to consider by council, the 2,500, a portion of that, or you could deny that. There's the Conference and Recreation Nova Scotia have reached out to a number of other sponsors and other municipalities to get some additional funding to host this event. So I'd open it up to the floor. I guess resources, we have 40,000 in that community event grant, and to date we've used 25,500 to date. I'd open it up to the floor.
Thank you, Craig. Mayor Blair.
Thank you, Deputy. I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor.
Thank you.
I move that council committee recommends to council that funding in the amount of $2,500 be approved for the 2026 Nova Scotia Conference being held in October 2026.
Seconded by Council. Any further discussion on the motion? You ready for the question? Right. You get it on the screen. Voting is open. Let's vote. And Councillor Richardson, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. And it's again a unanimous in favor. Right, I think you've got the next one as well.
I got two more to go.
Two more, yeah, one after this.
The next one, it's a community event grant as well. It's the Tatamagouche Farmers Market Fun Day in the Square. And this event's going to be happening on August 30th. We received the application in June of this year. They're looking for $2,000. The application of the budget is attached. They're looking for 500 to 1,000 people that will be attending. There's a lot of volunteers from the community and trying to attract people from outside the community come and take a community focused carnival featuring about 25 to 30 handmade games and created by local residents. There's a few options in there. If you notice the budget was 2,000 and they were requesting for 2,000. So we do have options. It could be the recommendation of council moving forward. Staff have recommended 1,000, or we could certainly deny that. As said in the previous application or event, we have $40,000 in that fund, and we don't anticipate that many more from now to the end of March. So I'll open it up to the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Councillor Martel.
Motion that council committee recommend to council that funding in the amount of $2,000 be approved for the 2026 Fun Day in the Square in August 2026, and I can speak to that.
Sure. Give seconder, seconded by Councillor Leggett. Councillor Martel.
Hey, thank you very much, and thank you to Craig for that presentation. This event was held last year, and I had the honor of attending that to see what our community can do when it comes together. And our farmers market is an anchor in Tatamagouche. More than 25 small businesses participate in that each week, along with another dozen or more local entrepreneurs at the next door Grain Elevator Village. And this event would be held in the center of the Creamery Square complex, which is also home to the Ice House Gallery and Performing Arts Center, the Creamery Square Heritage Center, and a boat shop. And any event that brings people to the rural area, this area, has an amplifying effect on the entire community. It creates awareness of the many things the community has to offer. The Heritage Center will get visitors and people viewing items through their bookshop and the gift store. The gallery will have people passing through to learn about their shows and purchase tickets, reinvesting in our local economy. But most of all, people of all ages, families, children, seniors We'll have fun networking social activities. And I would like you to think of this event as a mini exhibition with games and concessions, workshops, and awareness in our rural area, which is more than 40 kilometers away from the town of Truro. The reality is that for many families, to trek over Nuppy Mountain is a prohibitive problem to attend events in Truro, as well as additional costs. This is a community-driven festival that takes hundreds of volunteer hours to plan and host. And while I understand there is a preference to have a line item showing in a budget that they have put money towards it, I can assure you that their time is valuable, and knowing that the people involved will be putting in a contribution of hundreds of hours just to see this happen for our citizens is priceless. And I would ask you to please support this motion for $2,000 for the event.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further, Counselor Cooper, please.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple of comments. I know we do our nonprofit grants. You know, and this is the way I think of it. We're helping people, we're not doing the whole thing. Like, if their budget is for something that's 5,000, we don't give them 5,000, we give them 3 or whatever. So that's the first thing I'd talk about right here. The other thing is just a comment. It's, you know, they're gonna keep doing this each year. At some point, I'm gonna be done coming to us. We're gonna have to start thinking about getting funding from somewhere else. We might want to start doing that. So getting to there. So thanks.
Mayor Blair. Oh, sorry, Counselor Kennedy.
I have the same concern as the councillor just spoke about. If we pay for the whole thing, how many times have we done that from you to you?
Through you to the counselor. Just off the top of my head, I don't think we've covered off. I'd be just guessing if, with all the community grants, if we covered 100%. Maybe 1 or 2 in my time looking after these grants, but I know you can factor a lot of volunteer hours in and add as some in-kind support for this event. So covering off some of the costs.
I just have a concern that, you know, if you're building something and working at it, you should have some input financially yourself. And you should have other resources rather than just expecting the council to pay for the full thing. My thoughts. Thank you.
Mayor Blair.
Thank you. I agree with both Councillor Cooper and Councillor Kennedy in looking at not having full amount support. But for the community of Tatamagouche, we have done all kinds of things over the years and supported multiple events. And whatever they do over there is done well. And it's done with the support of the volunteers. And I think that the $2,000 is well worth the effort for this community. My question to you, Craig, through the chair, is why was the recommendation of $1,000 made as opposed to 2?
Through the chair to the mayor. In my understanding of the policy, reading the policy, it was sort of supporting them, but not to the full amount. Is that is what?
That's what the policy.
Yes, the policy reads that. That was my recommendation, but it's open for discussion as council decision.
So the policy says not the full amount, then if we do the full amount, we're funded in our own policy? Is that correct?
I'm just gonna read in
TAO here.
It's so, and I'll channel our solicitor and hopefully get it right, but through the chair. So, council has the purview to override policies.
Of course, yeah.
So when staff is putting the recommendation forward, we will do our best to interpret policy, but it's ultimately council if they decide to follow or modify based upon whatever the need is in front of them. So what you see is the recommendation driven on interpretation of policy has within its purview the ability to override policy if that's what they see fit.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies, and again, I have no problem with the motion.
Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Deb.
I as well. I understand the policy. I'm fine to go with policy. If we want to do a lower amount, I understand that. I'm only gonna speak on my own experience and putting on community events. Just in case I was wrong, but I don't believe, they've applied for a community event for this particular event. So but Councillor Martel did say that they did something last year, so they must have somehow gotten the funds together for that last year on their own. I would assume, I can't say that for sure. But this being the first time that they have applied, you can only apply 3 times. So in those 3 times, they're only asked for $2,000, which is minimal putting on an event. And I can tell you that from experience because I've been the one that started Debert Days and also with another person started Kiltoper, and those, you're putting games together, you're building games together. It's all coming from nonprofits, which don't have a cent to pull on the best of times. So I'm not disagreeing with council's decision by any means. I'm just letting you know that putting on an event is very expensive. You're looking at insurance, you're looking at porta potties, you're looking at vendors, you're looking at, and insurance is very expensive, I'll just let you know. You're looking at food, cost of food. If you don't get all those donations, then you're really pushing some dollars that you're trying to find. So I would be in support of it where it's only $2,000, and I hope they have a great event. And like I said, you can only apply for it 3 times through the municipality, so that's not really gonna make or break us if we give them 2,000, so thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? The motion is to support the organization to the full amount of 2,000. Councillor Cooper.
That's just probably a good point there. But I don't see some of the things she's talking about there, like insurance and things like that in the budget. So I could go through you to Councillor Tatamagouche. So is there things here they just haven't mentioned? Is that, did you say that too, or?
Councillor.
Through you
Oh, sorry.
to Councillor Cooper. I'm familiar with the work that was done last year with the number of volunteers that made this happen for the community. The fact that they came to us this year, you know, I encourage everyone to apply for assistance. I also know that if you're from an area and you haven't put in an application before, sometimes you're not always thinking about, you know, these are not professional grant writers, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that they are being given donations. I'm sure that they have lots of in-kind that is involved in that. It's just not showing up on this budget, which I also understand this is the budget that's in front of us tonight. But I believe that the $2,000 investment will be amplified throughout the entire community, as it always is with everything that happens in Tatamagouche and our small rural communities, like Marie had mentioned, Councillor Benoit had mentioned. I really feel like it's a good investment in community.
Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I agree. That's, I wasn't, thinking that when I look back at them. Obvious things are missing here, so the things that they need to have, so. Maybe just mention that to them, maybe, because that, yeah, like you say, that's in front of us, you look at that, it's 2,000, you kinda. But yeah, no, I'm no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? You ready for the vote? Question's been called. Understand the motion, so $1,000. And so. Oh. Councillor Richardson, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. So it's a unanimous in favor. Thank you very much, everyone. Good discussion. And Craig, you're up again.
Okay, the next one is the Center for Local Prosperity Festival and Conference, and this one was held on August 6th to the 9th. We did receive the application in plenty of time, and we inadvertently misplaced that application, and we had so some issues with it, and that's why the timely manner of bringing it after the event. We've done this a couple times in the past. They were looking for $5,000 in funding. The event budget was $156,000 for that event. Talking to the organizer this week, they had 330 participants in there, plus some other walk-up people as well. They had 3 keynote speakers, 3 panels, 30 workshops, 10 local bands that were all involved in that event. The event doesn't happen in Tatamagouche every year. They travel around the province. They were hoping for about 400 people to attend. There is some options that are there. Like I said in the past, the grant is, we have in the community event grant 40,000, and at the start of the night, we were at 25. So I'd open up for discussion, and the options are in front of you there.
Thank you, Craig. Councillor Martel.
I'd like to put a motion forward that council committee recommends to council that funding in the amount of $5,000 be approved for the 2026 Local Prosperity Festival and Conference in August 2026. And I would like to speak to that.
Certainly, seconded by Councillor Patton. Councillor Martel.
So I gotta tell you, this festival was tremendous. It was absolutely everything that a community festival should be. So from August 6th to the 9th, the village of Tatamagouche absolutely came to life in a way that I haven't seen in a very long time. In summary, this pro-local, community-focused event hosted 3 incredible keynote speakers, 3 panel discussions on community economic development topics, at least 7 upskilling workshops, specifically 10 community celebration events, 12 musical performances, and several sessions for youth and kids, engaging them in the discussions as well. And I had the pleasure of attending the opening celebration, being a part of a very impactful panel discussion on closing day, and attending a few of the community events in between. This event packed our restaurants, hotels, and the farmers market was full of people. And that farmers market, again, has about 25 local small businesses, and they had one of the best weeks in sales that they've had all summer. It even caused a traffic jam on Main Street. Nowadays, it's not too hard to do that, where there's always concerns over parking. It provided fundraising opportunities for many of our local nonprofits. And Sunday morning was very special for me to sit and enjoy a breakfast that was prepared by our local Boy Scouts troop, and talk with many of our local people about what it meant to them to have this festival in Tatamagouche. The conference was a living, breathing example of community wealth building in action, demonstrating what happens when community comes together for the greater good, embracing the assets that we have rather than focusing on what we don't have. Even after the fact, I can assure you that the County of Colchester was well represented through my efforts, despite my disappointment in learning that the application had been received months ago. I'm going to stay on a very positive note in saying that this festival did wonderful things for my community, but the whole of Colchester County. People who visited are already making plans to return. International friendships were forged, and volunteers who had put hours and hours into preparing for this event were very empowered by its success. And I would ask you to please support my motion to provide assistance to this event.
Thank you, Councillor Martel. Any further discussion on the motion? Question's been called. Vote for the vote on the screen. Councillor Richardson?
In favor.
Favor, thank you. And it's unanimous in favor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Next item is council proceedings and committees policy amendments. And Devin is going to speak to this item.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Sanderson. So it wasn't too long ago that this item was before you, just at the last council meeting in June. We reviewed some changes to the council proceedings and committees policy. So these changes were to address appointments to external boards. In addition, there was discussion about changes to address the external board terms and to those appointments, and to, I guess, to have them mirror the committees as well. So which is identified in Part 3, Section 20E of the policy. Also, you'll recall, due to the notification required to make changes to policies, we didn't get that the original changes to you in time to be able to approve the last council meeting. So we granted authority to committees this evening to address these changes that are for you, proposed changes that are before you today. So staff reviewed the policy in addition to the amendments that were already considered. You propose adding the following as part 469 to the policy. It's kind of a lengthy policy, but so the item that we're proposing adding is that the term of office for members appointed to external boards shall be 2 years unless otherwise specified by the external board. To provide continuity of knowledge and experience, council may renew any appointment where it determines doing so is beneficial. So the some of that lingo is quite similar to that would be in referring to committees as well. But yeah, so generally the suggestion here would be that the terms of office would typically be, of those appointees, would be the 2 years, unless the external board may have a situation where they require a 4-year term, which I believe is the case in a couple of instances, particularly with joint boards with involving other municipalities and that type of thing. So council could choose to approve these amendments, and now not just this amendment, but those that were considered also at the last council meeting. You'll see all are included in red in the in your package for the full policy. So you could choose to choose the amendment, fully amend all the amendments as presented. You could refer back to staff if there's further adjustments you'd like to see, or choose not to proceed with the amendments to the policy.
Thank you. Councilor Martel.
I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor that council committee approves the amendments to the council proceedings and committee's policy as presented.
Seconder. Second by Councilor Kennedy. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Discussion's been called. Vote will be open in a minute. Second. Vote. So Richardson, how do you vote?
In favor.
Right, thank you. And we have 1 no and 10 yeses.
That was not supposed to be a no.
Oh, okay. Okay, change that up. We have a unanimous in favor. Thank you for clarifying that, Councilor Weatherby. And Devin, you have the next one, the scholarship program policy amendments.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Sanderson. So just here before you is considering some amendments to the scholarship policy. This policy was produced a number of years ago. Since that time, certainly some of the offerings to post-secondary education have changed over the years, and we've been encountering over the last couple of years some more challenges to those different programs being offered. So this is so just to give you the scenario, we had a scholarship recipient who was planning to enroll in an automotive service technician program. They got put on the wait list for 2 years, had received the scholarship, but are now they weren't able to apply it right away. So they started exploring some other opportunities and were accepted to the apprenticeship program, Nova Scotia's apprenticeship program. So through that, they got a position at a local shop and will be able to take the NSC programs as they become available. So unfortunately, they're unable to utilize the scholarship because they received, because according to the policy, our funds typically are sent directly to the educational institution and do not account for circumstances like this. So because the apprenticeship programs and encouragement into trades are becoming more encouraged and more prominent, we're proposing some changes to the policy. So we reviewed and offering a few different suggestions. One is broadening the definition to the post-secondary education, our definition. So I'll just read that quickly as a university degree program, a certificate or diploma program, or an accredited university, community college, or trade school, or, and this is the main piece that was added to the definition, or recognized apprenticeship training program administered through the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency, or an equivalent provincial or territorial apprenticeship authority. And then further in the policy, adding to the following items within the administration of the policy. So just adding 2 additional items there. So stating that scholarship funds will normally be paid directly to the post-secondary educational institution and applied toward tuition and mandatory fees. But we're suggesting the additional option is where a recipient is enrolled in a recognized apprenticeship training program that does not require an upfront tuition payment, the CAO or designate may authorize payment of the scholarship toward eligible apprenticeship-related expenses, including required tools, equipment, safety gear, or training costs, and payment may be made directly to the apprentice, employer, training provider, or vendor upon receipt of satisfactory documentation as determined by the municipality. And so an additional item in order to apply to this current unique situation, and to add the final item to this policy would be that this policy have an immediate effect and will apply to any scholarship awarded in June of 2026. So that would have to be added to the policy as well to in order to apply to this current situation. So this issue is obviously time sensitive as the scholarship recipient is awaiting to determine how or if they'll be able to receive their award. So obviously the options are to approve as presented, consider further amendments, or to not amend the policy.
Thank you. Councillor Patton.
Well, thank you, Chair. I'd like to, Council Committee recommends to Council that the amendments to the scholarship program policy be approved as presented and dated as of June 2026. Is that correct? That's the intent?
That's it.
Yeah, it's actually that's added right into the policy. So yeah,
Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Kennedy. And is there any discussion on the motion? Councillor Martel.
Through you to Devon, I just want to thank you for putting that together. It is very progressive and really demonstrates the need of our workforce today, so thank you.
Mayor Blair.
Thank you. Deputy, thank you. And through you to Devon, so this would be basically like your red seal. Is that what we're talking about, the apprenticeship program? That you would.
I don't know that I don't think it's specific to just Red Seal, but it could include that type of, absolutely, yeah, I believe so.
In Colchester County, we have used that program as well for our building inspectors. So I think that that's significant to have a scholarship for people who are taking this program, and it's a great move. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Blair. Any further discussion? You ready for the question? Question's been called. Vote is open. Councillor Richardson, how do you vote?
In favor.
We have a unanimous in favor. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Debbie.
Thanks.
Our next item is the biosolids handling facility aeration upgrades, and I believe Kayla, you're going to speak to this. Word of contact.
Good evening, everyone. Just as a reminder, the June council approved authority to award. So this will be the only time that you're seeing this item. This month, you already saw it in June. I included some of the background information from the previous item, just so you could refresh yourself. But I'm just going to start with the new information. So the RFP was posted on the county website as well as the provincial procurement website back in May. We had 7 people pick up a copy. We only received 1 tender. So that came in from L&R Contracting at $760,368, not including HST. On the analysis page, you'll see we've done a comparison between the existing system and the proposed upgrade. So this system is at end of life and needs to be replaced regardless. And then the upgrade is going to allow us to achieve a fairly significant reduction in GHG emissions. You can see it's around 50%. So that equates to about $60,000 a year in energy costs for the municipality. So the cost of this project could be recouped within 13 years. And the lifespan of the equipment is around 30 years. So council has the option to award the contract to L&R Construction, or they could elect not to award the contract, and we could just replace the equipment like for like.
Thank you, Kayla. Is anyone prepared to put a motion on the table? Councillor Kennedy.
I move that the tender for the construction of the biosolid irrigation upgrades be awarded to L&R Construction for a total value of $760,368, excluding HST.
And do you want to just complete the motion there? There's another.
And that an integral contingency of $50,000 be approved to be spent on the authority of the Director of Public Works.
Thank you. Seconded by Mayor Blair. Any further discussion on this motion? Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you to Kayla. Just a question. Well, I was gonna ask why there was only bid and if there wasn't many companies that do this work, but you said there were 7 that picked up an application. Did you hear why they didn't bid on it or anything? I was just wondering.
So some of them were general contractors that were more, we often get people who are just curious, what does this entail? They saw that it was at a facility, so sometimes that could be a bit more of a general project, but this actually requires work within the tankage itself, so it's fairly specialized. And we didn't anticipate many respondents. The other aspect is the price point. This project is sort of just exceeds what we do internally with our own staff, but it's not quite big enough for some of the bigger specialist players in this area, so it's a few things going on.
And if I can ask a question, the 760,000, I don't know if this is a question you can answer or not, but is that like a comparable price to do this type of work in other areas, or is there any way to know that?
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky to know that. Apologies, through the chair to Councillor Benoit. I will say that the contractor did solicit costs from several equipment companies and did do a comparison. So we are getting a fairly reasonable price on the equipment itself. It's quite expensive equipment, again, specialized, and then the installation costs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further for Kayla? You ready for the vote? Question. Screen. And we can vote now. Richardson?
In favor.
Favor, thank you. And again, it's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Kayla. Looking forward to the energy savings. The next item is sidewalk extension, Avalon to Bonavista in Hilton, and Michelle is going to address this, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, through the chair. This item is to provide council with direction on requested sidewalks on Avalon and Bonavista in Hilton. At their June meeting, council received a request from a resident on Avalon to have sidewalks installed both on Avalon and Bonavista. For perspective, both of those streets together measure approximately 1 kilometer. And based on some of our sidewalk pricing for the last few years, the cost to install sidewalk there would be about $2,500 per meter. So we're talking about a project of about $5 million to install sidewalks in that area. So staff looked at a couple things. Total number of properties serviced would be 50. Perspective again. We looked at the old active transportation strategy. These two particular streets were not listed as priorities in that old strategy from 2017. We also looked at the current draft of the active transportation strategy, and I know council received a on that. At the time of writing of this item, Avalon and Bonavista were not included in that transportation network as presented to council. However, those two streets are listed as supporting network. That being said, supporting network with strategy streets are not earmarked for sidewalks in particular, but would qualify for different traffic calming opportunities to acknowledge the pedestrians using that area for active transportation. And so in this particular case where current draft of the strategy doesn't recommend installing sidewalks streets where the cost is, I would say, quite high to do that work, staff are not recommending the construction of sidewalks on those two particular streets. Council has referred an item to staff to come back with traffic calming policy or standards for county-owned roads, and so once that comes back to council coming months, then perhaps Avalon and are more candidates for traffic calming.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor. Mayor Blair.
Thank you, Chair, and I am prepared to put a motion on the floor. I move that council committee recommends that council not proceed with the construction of the requested sidewalks on Avalon Avenue and Bonavista Avenue in Hilton.
Seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Cooper. Any further discussion on the motion? Mayor Blair, did you want to speak to it? Oh.
Sorry.
No problem. Are you ready for the question? The question's been called. Voting's open, please vote. How do you vote?
I'll vote against.
Against? Okay. So we have 10 in favor and 1 nay. So the motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michelle. And our next item is, in addition to our agenda, it's called courtesy policy. And Councillor Leggett, you want to just speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm looking, not sure how we do it, the council go through these kind of things. I know fire service, we have bylaws and policy committees. So I don't know if it's the same thing here or not. But I'm looking for a policy that councillors are informed of actions in their jurisdictions. And I had one last week where an appellate document was sent out to residents within 500 meter or 500 feet of it, of a proposed development. Phone started ringing. I'm like deer in the headlights. I have never heard nothing about this. I don't live within 500 feet of this development. So as a courtesy, I was blindsided by this. I don't think that's fair. We give us the information, we can talk to people. There was another event in my jurisdiction last week. I'm not quite sure who's responsible for it yet, but I will find out. that a four-way, that an intersection was turned into a four-way stop intersection. That wasn't the day before. And I need to find out whether that's our Public Works or High Department of Transportation Public Works. Because it was it's Cornerstone and Forest Hill Drive is where it is. It's a low volume street. You know, it was two stop signs there for as long as I can remember. I don't think I've ever been to a motor vehicle accident at that intersection. So, but I need to find out whether that's provincial Public Works or our own version for. But these are two events that happened that people called me on. Okay, why is there now a stop sign? Right, do we now have a four-way stop? I don't know. Nobody told me. You know, that's information that we should be getting, I believe. It saves the firestorm. It's just a courtesy. Thank you.
Thank you, and this has come up in the past. It's a development out in Great Village area, I think, that were. Yes, I think it was Councillor Lohman at the time was a little disturbed that she hadn't heard much about it before her residents started asking her about it, and I think, if I recall, we talked about in our communication policy, maybe before your time, Dan, but maybe you recall that one.
Thank you through the chair. So yes, there was a discussion about this. So on correspondence, on upcoming consultations and so on. And so what we do operationally is we do our best to anything that is coming up, try and get it out. And from time to time, there are things that get missed. One of the things that we tend to put most of our focus on is specific constituency issues that councilors may have. And so that generally is the place where a lot of information is back and forth. And so I'm quite confident that there's a few things that clearly got missed here. So if council will give me an opportunity to go back, we'll have some discussions with staff operationally. And if there's something can accommodate to make sure that we pick up as much as we can, we'll try and move that forward. If we need to do a more formal policy, then certainly I'll bring that back and we can have a full discussion about that. So let me have an opportunity to take a discussion with the directors, and I'll come back with some comments for council's consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're okay with that, Councillor Leggett? Everybody else okay with that? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Dan. All right, that's our action items for tonight, and we're moving on to our information items. Debert Airport lighting. We have an update there on the runway lights at the Debert Airport. Are there any comments or questions on information? Councillor Benoit?
Mayor, through you to Michelle, if I may. Great report, thank you, Michelle. Just wondering, when you had spoke about the solar options, is there other airports? I guess we have a few small airports and all around, but I mean, do other small airports use solar for lighting as well?
Michelle?
Through the chair, there are other airports using solar. What we've elected to do is contact the manufacturer. They're shipping us some samples of their lights to give them a try. We're going to test out the lumens and the brightness of them. And so we really want to make sure the product will work before we order them up. So that's happening.
Perfect idea. And if I may follow up, so other airports that have used them, did you get any feedback, or have you spoken to them to see what's for them? I know it might be a different type of solar lighting, but.
Through the chair, that's all in progress now. I will say we do have some lower end solar lights that we did install the last couple of months, and they're working extremely well, and we're getting good feedback from pilots on that. And those are, really inexpensive, cheap units, but the solar seems to be bright enough. So we'll factor all of that into our research before we come back to council with
That's great. And I mean, if it helps us with our archaeological costs, that much better. Thank you.
Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Question through you to Michelle. So it states that we don't need to do any archaeological digging. So we gotta attach these to the fence. Does that have, what are we gonna attach the solar lights to? Mount them on the ground. Is it fencing? I'm thinking it probably is.
Yeah, so through the chair, these are lights that go up and down both sides of the runway. So they would be bolted down to the surface of the asphalt on the runway itself along the edge. Currently, the lights, which are traditional electrical lights, are just in the grass alongside of the runway, so we move them in along the edge of the runway. Be bolted down. So they're independent units bolted down.
Was a follow-up, they're on a pole, how high would the pole be, like probably 15, 20, 30 feet higher than the aircraft, obviously?
No, through the chair, they have to be flush because they would be foreign object debris, so they're only probably 12 or 15 inches tall, bolted down to the ground.
My only concern with that is trying to plow runways in the wintertime, bring the lights and have to replace them, so that's something we'll have to deal with if we go down, but that will be an obstacle.
Yeah, so through the chair, one thing we talked about was whether or not the lights are required in the winter. And one option would be to collect them up over the winter and not have them set out. We already have issues with the plows plowing over the lights, and so we're aware that is an issue we have to address. And so one option might be in the thick of winter to not have.
Any further questions? Okay, oh, Councillor Benoit.
Sorry, that just brought up another question. So if we don't, through you to Michelle, so if we don't use them in the winter time, we take them down, then we not need to have other lighting, or we'll just use what's currently there.
Through the chair, so the lighting allows the Truro Flight Center to do night training with the pilots, which is mainly why it's there. So when the lights come out, they will defer their night training hours to a later time. And then we post what we call as a NOTAM notice to all airport users, and it would be listed as an on-lit runway for those winter months.
Thank you for that update on the lighting, Michelle. Our next information item is the Solid Waste Director's report for August. Any questions, comments? Bill, Councillor Benoit.
Sorry. Thank you. Phil, I was just looking at your report and it's fantastic as usual. I was really interested in the books that you have. I forget what the name of it is, but with Phil or something. I would love to see the books and the I didn't say through you.
Phil's
Through you.
Adventure in Solid
Phil's
Waste
Adventure,
Management.
that's it. And I didn't, sorry, I didn't direct through the chair.
No
Sorry about
problem.
that.
Don't worry.
I'm just wondering if you have any comments, which you seem to. And in regards to the sorting guides, I think that's fantastic because I will say, I thought that I was a really good recycler. But I've learned that I'm missing quite a few things that I don't do that I thought I did. But in talking with some residents, there's many that find it confusing, to be honest. And I know we get the sorting guide that comes in the newsletter throughout the year, but there's still quite a bit in there that's very confusing for people. They think it goes in one and it doesn't and stuff like that. So I'm hoping this will maybe sort it down a little bit further, but I would love to see if we can maybe offer them to our residents in the area if that's possible. I don't know if that's feasible or not to do. And actually, that's fine. That's all I want. Oh, sorry, I did have one more question. Collection issues. I'm just wondering if if there's a lot of issues with collection issues being this. I know, like, I always refer to the residents to reach out to the helpline, and I give all the information, I give the phone number and everything, and I believe they are doing that, but I just feel like in the last year or so, there's been quite a few collection issues. Is that the case, or is it just here or there and it's part of it?
Thank you for your questions and through the chair. The booklet that I did have a copy of is intended for, I'll say, the younger generation. It's a bit of a workbook for them to have at the education schools and camp days that we have here through recreation. And, I did have hair back one time, so I guess that's why that picture has hair. Anyways, that answers that question. The sorting guide, there have been quite a few enhancements through the EPR program, and residents can find it a bit overwhelming because of the extra items that we now can recycle in different ways, and not only through our blue bag program, but also in the depot network that Circle Materials has established across the province. And we're fortunate that they've worked with 4 enviro depots that are existing in our community that Debert, Nova Scotia work with. So it's an opportunity to do additional recycling through the enviro depot program or through the depot program. But things like styrofoam, if you remember, are not banned from landfill. We have the luxury of being able to do it here in our jurisdiction, but where Circle Materials is now paying for the costs associated with that, they've opted to do their recycling through the depot network instead of through the Blue Bag program. We're working hard to continue educating our residential communities through not only the sorting guides, but we have social media that we use, and we continually work with the hauler when they see a problem. There's a situation that we have to make a visit either with the education officer or the compliance officer. We'll do that. So a bit of a work in progress, and it's going to take time, but overall, you'll see a larger increase in the amount of material that we can recycle and keep out of landfill that way. On the collection side of things, I will say that there seems to have been a bit of an uptake, and we do meet every month with the current curbside collection contractor to recognize and understand what's going on. And interestingly, it's not a real, I'll say, sought after business to be a garbage truck driver anymore. And some of the challenges we've had, through the course of time, have been sort of, I'll say, class 3 drivers that come and the class 3 drivers that go, and those are the people that are driving the trucks and potentially picking up the material. And one of the things with the changes in the federal immigration program, we're seeing some, I'll say, individuals who have immigrated to our country that their work visas have expired. And in particular, we've lost 4 drivers in the last couple of months because of the fact that they're no longer eligible to work in Canada, and they've had to move back to their country of origin. So that's put a lot of pressure on our community in terms of having those individuals able to work with the collection contractor. But we continue to work through that. We've developed a bit of a priority listing for some of those places that, for whatever reason, may have had several missed collections over the course of the last number of months, and we connect with the contractor to make sure on the collection cycle that those addresses are collected. And sometimes it's a combination of a difficult address for a new driver to kind of get the feel or understand where that particular location is. There is some provincial roads signs that are now missing that we've got working with the province to get things replaced. Because if you think about somebody that goes to an area that hasn't been there, if they're covering for somebody who's sick, they might not be familiar with the territory, and it's a bit of a work in progress, but we are aware of it and we are addressing it to the best of our abilities and continue to go forward. So.
Councillor John. Okay, Councillor Benoit, one more.
Sorry, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. And also I know that your staff is incredible. I know anytime I've had to reach out about an illegal dump or about really anything, missed pickups, anything, you guys go above and beyond trying to help the resident and myself. And so it wasn't a complaint really. I was just kind of curious, but I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benoit. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you to Phil. I read your report here. Tell me about your pilot residential recognition program for people that are perfect for curbside collection. I know a few of those people, but what are we doing for those people? Are we going to take a picture and put them in the quarterly newsletter, or what's your thought?
Sure, thank you, and through you to the councillor. Thank you for bringing that forward. It's an idea that got spawned a number of years ago. That there's an opportunity to provide recognition to a residential community for the good work that they do. And so we developed this Gold Star program, and the idea behind it is that you would register to be audited by your curbside activity that you do. Our waste reduction team through the education coordinator will come do a visit, and once you're acknowledged as being a sorting champion, you'll receive a brand new green card with a gold star on the side, indicating that you are a sorting champion. So it's a recognition for you to have in your community, and people ask why you have a gold star in your green card. It's because you're a champion waste reduction sorter. So.
Thank you. Has anybody been awarded a gold star?
Yeah, we've had a number of registered, and you look in the package, you'll see that that we had a number that applied, I believe it was 69, and then there was some folks that did not pass, and you know, I would look at it as an opportunity for improvement, although we put fail on the equation that they didn't. But you know, we take it seriously, and we want people to know that you know, it's not a token award, it's an award that shows that you're dedicated to the sorting and keeping materials in the right product stream, and it's been a good start, so.
Councillor Johnson.
So I gotta ask the question, how big is the goal star? Cause I wanna be looking for some of these on the green bins in my district on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
So is it big enough that you'll see it driving by?
Yeah, through the counselor, they're about 25 centimeters in diameter, so they're quite large, so.
Wow.
Cover a lot of yellow stickers there.
I'll be on the lookout. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions to Phil? Thank you for a terrific report, Phil. Our next item is our closed session in camera. I would look for a motion to go in camera. By Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Weatherby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay. Motion carries. Sorry, Councillor Richardson. All right, we'll take